back. I had to make sure I wasn't dreaming when he said what he said. So, but I'm
here, of course, joined with Nick Botkins of the Botkins Show. Nick. Hello, everybody, and welcome on into the debut show of Buffoons and Botkins. My name's Tanner Dawson. I am with the Sports Buffoons. And we, of course, over here have Nick Botkins of the Botkins Show. Nick, welcome in, man.
Welcome. Thanks, Tanner. It is a pleasure to kick off our new debuting show, Buffoons and Bodkins. I'm excited.
I'm so pumped for this. I've been waiting for this. You know, it was a hard time sleeping last night. You know, just a lot to go on, man. There's just a lot of stuff that we're able to do on the show. And, you know, who knows how long it'll last. It might last 30 minutes one day. It might last an hour and a half to 2 hours one day. Who knows? Like, it's just how the conversation goes. So, this show here, guys, we are looking to bring on guests, looking to bring on other podcasters, get other people's opinions. This is the best part about it is we can bring on people, chat with them, chat with the people that are, you know, fans of certain clubs or maybe fans of certain sports and just get some feedback. So, I mean, anything else you could think of, Nick?
No, a lot of crazy hot takes. I'm sure with those fans, we're going to give them a hard time. And we're going to tell them how we feel about their either good teams, crappy teams, and hopefully get some good insight on what's going on in the world of sports from places of all over, and also our great, me and Tanner are going to give you also our great hot takes and great takes as well.
That's right. I mean, they're not as great as JG's, but, you know,
no,
we do what we can.
Yeah, JG's smoking something different, so
I love it. I love it. So, guys, please make sure you guys hit the like button. This helps us produce more of these Monday night shows as well and get on better guests as well. Granted, all our guests are going to be awesome, so I'm not even worried about that. So I'm super excited. Today, guys, lined up for guests at 7:45, 7:45 Central, guys. So here in about 10 minutes, we'll have on Jim Biringer talk about the Avalanche and the NHL as we enter offseason for them and kind of get their thoughts. And here about 8:15, 8:30 Central as well. Then we're going to have Jonathan Grishman come on, talk about a little Astros Yanks and kind of get his feel on that stuff as well. So super excited for that. Great lineup coming into play, but we got a lot to talk about. We got NFL topics. We got MLB topics, NHL, and UFC. And guess what? I'm using this platform to learn other sports. I'm not a hockey guy. I'm not a UFC guy. But I'm excited because it's gonna force me to kind of understand, at least try to learn some of these other sports here. I'm super excited. Are you a hockey guy, Nick?
Absolutely no, I am not. I don't know. I couldn't. Wayne Gretzky still playing hockey. Jaromir Jagr. I mean, that's my extent at hockey. I am not a hockey guy. I do know that the Avs won last night, and that's all I really know. You know, I don't know a whole lot. So hopefully Jim's going to come on, teach us a little bit. We're going to ask some probably dumb questions because neither one of us know, dick about hockey. So we're going to learn. Hopefully our audience who doesn't know enough about hockey either will help us out as well. So
That's right. That's right. So, yeah, as these guys come on here, we'll see what happens here. So, all right, guys, let's start with our first topic here. Browns. Deshaun Watson, he just supposedly settled or whatever they did with 20 of his 24 cases this last week here. Obviously, that has NFL already came out and said this has nothing to do with the potential suspension that he is facing. Now, the games are still undetermined here going into play. The Cleveland Browns have not got rid of Baker Mayfield yet. They have Jacoby Brissett sitting on the bench that they signed this offseason as well. Deshaun Watson, let's just say he's out for the whole year, Nick. Say he's gone. What are we thinking? What's our thoughts here? Do we think Jacoby Brissett could lead this team? Or do you think they're just banking that good old Baker Mayfield sitting here and he's like, you know, the guy's going to play, the guy's going to play. Or he could pull a Le'Veon Bell and sit out season. What do we what's our thoughts in the QB room of the Cleveland Browns here as to Deshaun Watson could potentially just ruin the whole team's 2022-23 campaign?
So everything I've heard, I'm gonna unpack some stuff here. Everything I heard, I was listening to Rap Sheet today. Ian Rappaport, and he was saying that this is a big week for Deshaun. Deshaun Watson meets with the arbitrator tomorrow, which is the judge, who will decide the next 2 or 3 days how many games he should get. The NFL is pushing for a indefinite suspension, no more than a year. He'll be suspended. Now, obviously, the NFLPA is going to bounce back, so they're both going to present cases to this arbitrator on what should happen to Deshaun. Everything that I've also read and that Ian Rappaport is saying is that between Baker Mayfield and Kevin Stefanski, that relationship is broken. They ran out Baker like the old mule. I think it was the Pittsburgh Steelers game. They ran him out there like an old mule, broken, was in a sling, told him to throw it 75 times. They weren't blocking TJ Watt. So they did Baker no favors. He did everything for the Browns that he could possibly do, played hurt. There's reports that he's immature, childish, isn't a leader on the team. I would say that's everything. I don't know what it's like inside the locker room, obviously, but on the field, he looks like a leader. On the field, it looks like he wants to be there. A guy's playing hurt. He should have sat out probably half the season last year and saved himself heartache and pain. I do think, and what Ian Rappaport was also saying last night or this morning was that they catered this quarterback room for Deshaun Watson, bringing in Brissett, and they have another guy there, the third stringer even. But I think it's
Joshua Dobbs.
Yep, that's it. I think it's going to be Brissett. I think they're going to try. Baker's going to have to take a pay cut and get traded to the Panthers. I think that's the perfect fit for him going forward. But I just don't think. Obviously Deshaun's not going to be there. I thought maybe last year was the back end deal. I've said that before. And then more cases have come out, more reports. Every day you read a different report on what these allegations are and what Deshaun Watson did during these alleged encounters with these masseuse. Everyone just makes you more sick to your stomach the more you read it. I think the NFL's fed up. I think he's going to get the year. I don't care what the NFLPA says, but who knows? I do think it's going to be Jacoby Brissett, and then the Browns will probably finish at third best in their division, and they're just going to eat it and then hope for the best going into 2022, 2023 season.
Yeah, it's going to feel like the Colts season from like 2 or 3 years ago, of where Brissett just steps in. He doesn't do a bad job by any means. It's not like it's worse than the league, but he's not a all-star quarterback starter. So, by the way, appreciate the subs there, Dina and Carlos on Twitch there. So I appreciate you guys as you do that for us. Appreciate it. I kind of agree with you. Like Baker Mayfield, yes, media perception did not help him any on some of the just negativity, but that's the media, right? They're going to give you all the negative stuff. That's where the stories are. Baker Mayfield played injured for over half the season. The guy could have just sat out, but his team was in contention, and he didn't want to let his team down to be able to try to get to that playoff spot and try to get a repeat against the Chiefs again, right? That's what they wanted. And that's what a leader does. He toughs out those kind of injuries. That was just his non-thyroid arm still, but that's still a lot there that you have to use your upper body to be able to throw the ball. And like Baker Mayfield, for me, anybody that says he's not a leader isn't watching football, period. That's all I'm going to say. You're not watching football. You had to work with guys such as Donovan Peoples-Jones, Anthony Schwartz, trying to think of the other guy they had. He had like 3 nobodies, essentially, because Odell left for the Rams. And it just wasn't a good situation for Baker, and he did everything he could to get in. Yes, and Nick Chubb was out, right, for like 3 or 4 games. Kareem Hunt was out 3 or 4 games. Like, there's your offense. Baker Mayfield is all you had. So I agree. This is a trouble situation. Jacoby Brissett, if he's the one that ends up starting, it's not going to be good for the Browns, guys. It's not going to be good at all because you're already in that division. That's already going to be very competitive for a playoff and a wild card spot. So it's going to be tough here. All right, let's see here. We got a comment here? All right, Carlos, appreciate you. New York, guys, says Baker is better than Wilson and Daniel Jones. It's very true. He's actually probably better than I'd probably rank him around top 15, honestly.
Yeah, That's perfect right there for Baker. 100% he's better than Wilson and Daniel Jones.
Oh,
I
by
mean,
far.
the high school kid playing football today is probably better than Daniel Jones. Wilson's got a lot to prove. But yeah, I'm not saying I'm a big Baker fan. I don't think he should have been the number 1 overall pick, but I mean, he has been just mistreated there in Cleveland. How many quarterbacks in the last 20 years have got Cleveland Browns a playoff win? One. His name's Baker Mayfield.
Well,
one.
Yeah, because I thought McCown was going to get it one year, and then he ended up getting hurt, and it shot the season. So, yeah, that's the only time they really had. And what was it? Tim Couch, also the last helpful they had, that got him anywhere remotely close to a win in the playoffs.
Yeah, they were one Chad Henne sneak away from making it to the AFC Championship game 2 years ago. It's not really Baker's fault that the drama with Cleveland happened and those things. I mean, Odell did have some of those problems with Baker, but I mean, it's not his fault Jarvis Landry got hurt either last year. It's not his fault that some of these other, injuries happen. The Browns are going to reap what they sow. I mean, what happens if Deshaun Watson is suspended indefinitely and they don't let him back? What if that would be unheard of. Usually it is a year, but it's very possible that that it is indefinite. I think he'll have at least a year, and then he hasn't played football in 2 years. So how much shape is he going to be in coming back next season if he hasn't played in over 2 years?
Look, that's the issue, right? We saw Le'Veon Bell do this, right, for a year. Sat out after Pittsburgh because he didn't get his money, his contract. And he came back for the New York Jets and did look nothing like himself at all. Nothing that we expected, especially a guy that sat out as a running back trying to be healthy. The same could be thought for Deshaun Watson. The guy was on fire. Yes, he took his team to the playoffs every year that he was a quarterback. But is it going to be the same? Is it going to be able to take a Browns offense and possibly even help on the defense? Because the defense, they have great starters, but they don't have great depth by any means, I think. So that's going to hurt them as well. And Deshaun Watson played for the Houston Texans, so we all know about all that situation. But can he live up to that hype that he created in Houston to Cleveland, being out a year, being out possibly 2 years now? So I don't know. I feel like time will tell, because I don't remember a quarterback really being out that to his caliber, his skill caliber, and coming back. Le'Veon Bell was one thing. We'll see what Deshaun Watson is, depending his 1 or 2 year.
We'll get out here on this because I know we got Jim coming on to talk hockey. Tanner, you don't get better at doing something by not doing it.
That's true. That's true.
There it is. I mean, that's the statement right there.
Carlos, real quick, we'll hit comments here real quick. Carlos said Wilson still needs like 5 years, and Daniel Jones needs to be on the bench. Tyrod Taylor's in the house, man. Tyrod Taylor's there. It's about time, right? That'll come mid-season. And then he also puts in Baker doesn't need to play to get paid. Nope, he don't. He can sit out for anybody else means there. So that's the funny part about it. Cool. Well, next week. So next week, guys, we're going to try to get Wojo on. Cleveland Browns fans, you can catch him on Let's Talk Sports on Fridays. Fabulous guy. He also did TikToks. He did TikToks, and it was almost, I think he got through four to six of the cases and talks about each case individually for Deshaun Watson. And it's pretty fabulous, the detail that he has. And if you're more curious about what's behind the whole Deshaun Watson cases, go follow him there, because he does a really good job explaining it. So, but we're going to try to get him on, get the feel for the Cleveland Browns fans, and see where they're at mentally, and possibly with a decision this week, we might get even better reaction. So we'll have to see there, but I'll catch him on next week's show, 4th of July, guys. So, well, now we're going to chance to learn something. And Nick, are you excited?
Yeah, I'm real excited.
I actually did a little research here. I don't know exactly what I put in, but I did something and it looked really good. So I'm going to present that here to Jim. We're going to have Jim join us here in just a second as I try to find him. Now, look, guys, I got pages here. I do a lot of stuff, okay? I apologize. I'm a busy guy. Okay, all right. Join us in, guys. Jim Biringer writes for the Full Press Wrestling, Last Word on Hockey podcast, and he just joined Let's Talk Sports today, this afternoon, talking about some great old hockey stuff going on. Jim, thank you for coming on. We appreciate it, and we're excited to get some try to get some hockey stuff rolling for us.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here talking the Stanley Cup final. Wrapped up Sunday night in Tampa. We have a new Stanley Cup champion this year, and a pleasure to be on talking some hockey. Appreciate the comment earlier, you guys coming on, listening to us, watching us. So appreciate everything that you guys do as well.
Definitely. I try to hop on when you're on there. Let's Talk Sports, just because I am interested in trying to figure out what's going on and stay somewhat current of what's. I didn't realize we were already game 6, by the way, for the hockey finals. So when I looked it up this morning, I was like, "Oh, it's over." All right, so there we go. So real quick here, I got some things written down because I did a little research, and I want your thoughts here, Jim.
All right.
So Colorado Avalanche defeats the Tampa Bay Lightning in Game 6 to win the Stanley Cup. Look, I can't find anything here. What I know the MVP is called something different. What is the MVP in hockey for the finals?
It's called the Conn Smythe Trophy. It's for the Stanley Cup playoff MVP. It's just not for the Stanley Cup final. So it's the playoff MVP, all 4 rounds. Now, if you talk to some people, and back in 2003, I said this when the Devils won the Stanley Cup and J.S. Shigeru won the Conn Smythe Trophy. I said he won it in the first 3 rounds to get Anaheim to the Stanley Cup final. And he didn't have a great final because Martin Brodeur outplayed him. But Cale Makar was the best player from start to finish from the Stanley Cup playoffs began for the Colorado Avalanche. 29 points in 20 games. I mean, you can't beat that. It's the best defenseman in the league, won the Norris Trophy this year as well. Now he's a Stanley Cup champion. I mean, Colorado, best team in the league this year, and yeah, he was playoff MVP.
And he was
So is that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Tanner. So is that trophy? That's different than so that's for like the whole playoffs, or not just like the 4-game series? So like to put it in a sport like me and Tanner follow, like the NBA Finals, Steph Curry was the MVP because he was like the best player of that series. So what you're talking is this guy was the best player for the whole throughout the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, absolutely, Nick. Yeah, that's absolutely correct. So the Conn Smythe Trophy awarded to the player who was the best throughout the entire playoffs, just not one series. So it's not like a final MVP like the NBA has. It's start to finish from game 1 to when the Stanley Cup final is over. If you make it that far, that's who they determine the best player is. So yeah, it's the entire playoffs. So you have to put on a performance game in and game out.
So let's just say a guy loses in like the Eastern Conference Finals, Game 7. Let's just and they lose. Can he would he still be in, like, he kicked ass the first 3 rounds of the playoffs? Yep. So the first 3 rounds, that guy kicks ass. He loses in Game 7 of the conference finals. Would he still be considered, the next round, even though his team didn't even win the Stanley Cup, not even in the Stanley Cup? Has that even happened? Sorry, that's a lot of questions, but
no, I mean, he might still be considered, but most likely the guy usually comes from the team that wins the Stanley Cup. It's very rare that a team that loses the Stanley Cup has a player win the Conn Smythe Trophy. They got to have like a really good performance to be on the losing team but usually, like, you'll see the ballot. Like Connor McDavid, for instance, the Edmonton Oilers, like, he put up a ton of points, led the league in goals, but he got eliminated in the Western Conference Final. So guess what? He's not going to be considered for the Conn Smythe Trophy because he didn't make it there. But like, for instance, say like Tampa lost in 7 games, right? This was probably Makar's trophy to win from the beat. Like, since the Avalanche got there, he was the betting favorite to win it. But just say he wasn't. Like, say Tampa lost in Game 7, maybe it went to Vasilevsky, maybe it goes to somebody else. But yeah, I mean, Cale Makar was the best player in the playoffs for Colorado this entire year, and Colorado best team in the NHL this year as well.
Interesting. So it's still treated similar to other sports such as the NBA, NFL, MLB. The winner tends to get the MVP in the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it tends to. Very, very rare. There's only been like a handful of, like, less than a handful of occasions that it's happened. 2003, G.S. Shiger, the Ducks lost, and he was given the Conn Smythe Trophy. Ron Hextall in 87, I believe, was the Conn Smythe Trophy winner, and I think there was one other. That was about it. It's rare to see that the losing team guy gets the Conn Smythe Trophy.
Gotcha. And this guy here, he was a defensive player, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was the first defensive winner since Jack Johnson.
First defensive player to win the Conn Smythe Trophy, I believe, since I want to say it was. Well, I mean, the last time I remember defenseman winning, it was Brian Leach, but I think I could be mistaken on that. I know he's the first player since Bobby Orr and Nick Lindstrom to win the Norris Trophy as best defenseman in the regular season and the Conn Smythe Trophy winner in the same season.
Wow. So defensively, like it's normally like most other leagues as well. A lot of the offensive guys, the guys who are out there scoring goals and in the forwards, I guess spot, right, would be the guys that would win the Conn Smythe Award, right?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it goes to a goaltender as well. I mean, the goalie has to stand on his head to win the Conn Smythe Trophy. Normally, no, I was about to say Duncan Keith with 2015 Chicago Blackhawks. It was Duncan Keith in 2015 was the last defenseman to win the Conn Smythe Trophy. So, but yeah, normally it's a forward or a goaltender that wins the Conn Smythe Trophy.
Interesting.
Jim, I know that this was the Lightning's third straight Stanley Cup finals run, and this is a two-part question. Were the Avalanche just so much better than them, or did they run out of gas? Again, I'm going to correlate it to a sport I know, like the Warriors a couple years ago had made 4 straight finals, and then they just kind of like died down. They just ran out of gas at final championship. Is that what happened, or are the Avalanche just so much better? And had the Lightning won their third straight, I know like the Islanders way back in the day had won like 4 or 5 straight, or even the Canadiens way back in. Where would you have put like the Lightning as far as dynasty wise? You know, where would they rank winning third straight? So it's kind of a 2-part question here.
Yeah, so I'll start with the first part. So Colorado's speed was on display this whole series from start to finish. I think their speed was just Tampa Bay just couldn't match it. I just think, yes, Tampa Bay, it was a combination, Tampa Bay running out of gas and Colorado just so determined and so hungry. And the fact that you've seen teams like in sports that you follow, like the NBA or the NFL, where a team is just so hungry and failure is not an option. This was this team. They went through so many heartbreaks. 3 straight years they lost in the second round, either in 6 or 7, injuries, whatever it was. Nate McKinnon said last year, he's like, I haven't won bleep, and I've been in 9 years in the league, and he really took that to heart. The team took it to heart, and he came out. He was a man on a mission in Game 6, but they just kept coming. Like the Lightning, they played a different style. They played defensive hockey, blocking shots, and it takes its toll on the body, and you could see it in Games 4, 5, and 6. Yes, the Lightning won Game 5, but in Game 4 and 6, Colorado just kept coming. You just can't hold on to 1-goal leads when a team has speed. They can pin you down and just outwork you for pucks all the time. And, you know, but kudos to the Lightning for getting the 3 straight Stanley Cup final. You know, if they had won, I was going to say, you know what? You got to put them up there as probably one of the best dynasties ever, with the Islanders and the Canadiens and the Oilers. You know, because they would probably be put ahead of the Oilers because Gretzky's Oilers never won 3 in a row. And they would have won 3 in a row. And the last time that would have happened would have been the 80s Islanders. And to do it in different situations with the bubble, with the shortened season, with an 82-game regular season, in a salary cap era, truly probably one of the best teams ever to go down would be the Tampa Bay Lightning. I mean, still, you have to marvel what they did. 3 straight final appearances in a salary cap with different players, and just playing different ways each time. And just remarkable. But the Colorado Avalanche, you know, just a better team. And they won the special teams battle, the power plays. You know, they won every one except 2 games. So that's the difference in the series to me.
Yeah, and the power plays, against Tampa alone, 37.5% converted power plays. That's what I saw against Tampa Bay just alone, not including the whole playoffs where I think they were even above that. So, like I heard that they were like top 12, at least top 12 of the powerhouses of a title team going into play. And then their differential as well per game, goals per game, was -1.5. So, like these guys apparently that's unheard of in most years. Correct?
Yeah, that's very unheard of. I mean, to have a conversion rate of a 37.5% in the Stanley Cup final is really good. And you could clearly see it. I mean, I know going into game 5 or game 6, they were like 7 for 14 on the power play. So every 2 chances they were going to score. Tampa only 2 power play goals in the series, not very good. And that was the difference to me in the series, especially games 1 and 4 when both games went to overtime. If Tampa scores a power play goal there, maybe it's a different series. Maybe they're lifting the cup. But guess what? They didn't. Colorado did, and the speed of that team, the McKinnons, the McCarrs, the Landeskog's, everybody had played a role in that team just to win a Stanley Cup. So, kudos to Colorado.
Yeah, also, Nathan McKinnon, officially the NHL playoff leader scorer, and then he also had the most ever by an Avalanche player through the first 30 games in the playoff postseason games. Like, is this guy unreal? Is this guy like we're talking, I don't know, Gretzky level, or are we talking just a really great player in this kind of decade?
I mean, he's a really good player. I mean, trains with Sidney Crosby in the offseason. Both guys are from Cole Harbour, Nova Scotia. So, he knows what Crosby's all about, winning championships up there. These 2 guys trained together, and he was determined going this year. I mean, he had a goal and an assist, had the assist on the game-winning goal by Arturi Lehkonen. And he was just a man on a mission this year. He had that breakout game against St. Louis where he had the hat trick, the unbelievable goal late, even though Colorado didn't win that game. But the fact of the matter is this team went 16-4 in the playoffs, 9-1 on the road. I mean, these numbers are unbelievable, insane numbers. This was probably the best team to win a Stanley Cup that hadn't won the President's Trophy in a really, really long time.
That was kind of my next question, Jim, is like, did this Avalanche team, did nobody see this team coming? Because I feel like, national media, as far as just like what I catch a little bit here and there, nobody talked about the Avalanche until like the Western Conference or the Western Conference or their finals.
Yeah, Western Conference,
yeah, Western Conference finals in the Stanley Cup. It was a lot of people were talking about the Lightning. I heard people talk about the Blues a little bit as a team that could maybe make another run because they were just there recently. But even the Oilers, I had heard that they were, a hot team to watch. I didn't hear anybody talk about the Colorado until it was almost too late to jump on the bandwagon. So did just nobody see this team like getting here, or like what was that like? And is this like a team we should be looking for in the future? Like if I'm going to put some money down next year to put on money, am I putting money on the Avalanche?
Well, I mean, breaking news. I mean, the Colorado Avalanche are the early betting line favorite to win a Stanley Cup again this year. So, I mean, they were the favorites. If you looked at most sports books, they were the favorites to win the Stanley Cup this year. But people were hesitant because of their playoff history. Couldn't get past the second round. So, and the fact of the matter is, when you sweep 2 series, you have time off. So a lot of people forget about you. But this team was coming, and everybody saw this team coming, and this team was determined, and what they did was just so remarkable this year. It's just incredible to see what Joe Sakic did, former player, wins a Stanley Cup as a player, with 2 Stanley Cups as a player with this franchise. Now the general manager puts the team together. Just the ups and downs, the bet. I mean, think about it. 5 years ago, this team was the worst team in the league, franchise record worst, 48-point season, and to come that far and now be Stanley Cup champions again. Just remarkable what they did over there in Denver.
Awesome. All right, let's hit some comments here real quick here. Carlos here is the majority of everybody. He says it feels bad for Andre Vasilevsky.
Vasilevsky. Yeah. So close. So close.
I assume he's a older vet, right?
I mean, Vasilevsky was the goalie for the Lightning in the past 2 years. I mean, he played his heart out, played really well. Just, a couple of bad bounces just go his way. He was very upset after the game, throwing some equipment in the locker room. but it happens. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't want to lose the Stanley Cup. When you're a team that's won the championship, won it back to back, you don't want to let it go.
No, that's fair. That's very fair. All right, let's see here. It also says Tampa did not shoot as much as they should have last night, which we kind of see that in some teams that ended up losing the finals. It's execution in some way. Maybe they were just very selective and try to be efficient. I'm not sure exactly, but I mean, we've seen it in the NBA. We've seen it in the NFL as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, one shot over the final 14-25 of the third period isn't going to cut it when they're scoring goals on Darcy Kemper when they were throwing pucks on the net. I mean, as a coach once told me, you throw pucks on net, good things happen. And good things were happening for them, and they kind of got away from it. They were trying to find the cute pass, the one-timer. Just throw the puck on net. Something's going to happen. It's going to bounce off of somebody. It's going to go in the net. Just shoot the puck. I mean, no shot is a bad shot.
All right, and then finally here, yeah, Colorado was fast on both sides of the rink. Ridiculous. I heard that a lot here. Heard that a lot today watching Pat's show, and, I heard it from you as well on Dan's show. So, I heard they were just unbelievable last night, pretty much. Really hard to stop and really hard to contain.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you can't – speed kills, they say in hockey. And when you get it from all four lines, your defenseman, staying physical, protecting – and your best defense, good offense when you pin the team in their own defensive zone. They move the puck so well and so quickly. Yeah, I mean, Colorado just unbelievable what they did. The depth, the players, Lehkonen, Nichushkin, Darren Helm, Nazem Kadri. I mean, what he went through. Guys playing with broken foots, broken hands, this, that, and other thing. The litany of injuries are going to come up, but guess what? It doesn't matter because when you win, that trophy will go over your head because it doesn't matter what your injury is. You're lifting that Stanley Cup. And if you're Obey Kubel, you're going to drop the Stanley Cup for the team photo and dent it. But
that's where the fun is. All right. So the finals are done, and hockey is now entering off-season mode. What are we looking at here in the next month here? Is it free agency, draft, or what are we looking at?
So next week, the NHL draft, a week from Thursday, the 7th and 8th, the NHL draft, fun begins. Teams are going to be picking their players. There could be trades that happen. Usually trades happen at the draft. You move some free agents around, maybe to make some trades to make your team better, move out some salary so that you're going to want to watch that. Maybe, a couple of teams move their first-round picks. Ottawa's one team. New Jersey may be moving their pick, maybe to get better. And then, NHL free agency right around the corner. Top free agents out there. Jersey boy Johnny Gaudreau. Potentially, goaltending like Darcy Kemper. Colorado's got to re-sign him. Jack Campbell's out there. The list goes on of guys that are out there. Maybe Kevin Fiala's on the move. So, free agency frenzy is going to come around. And usually it's July 1st. It's usually Canada Day. But obviously with the schedule the way it is. And then obviously the schedule is going to come back out soon. So there's a lot going on crammed in such a short period of time after the Stanley Cup final is over. They have so much to do to get ready for next season. But once the first 2 days of free agency are crazy, after that it just dies down for a while.
Is there a guy, Jim, that's the hottest free agent this year? Like the teams that are just are going to have a bidding war for, and who should we look out for? Like who's the guy that we should look at?
So two guys, Johnny Gaudreau from the Calgary Flames, he's an unrestricted free agent, so he can go anywhere. The max deal he can sign is 7 years. So Calgary can sign him to 8 if they want to because he's his own property, but it has to be done before the deadline of free agency. And another guy is Nazem Kadri, just won a Stanley Cup with the Colorado Avalanche center. Look for a team like a Washington, maybe Boston to sign him because, center depth you can never have enough of it, and what he brings, the grit, determination, he's just coming off a career year. So that's a guy I'd be looking at as well. But Gaudreau is the hottest guy right now. Everybody's looking to get him. Offensively gifted, kind of wants to play close to home, maybe Philly, maybe New Jersey goes after him. But, he's a guy definitely out there that teams are going to be looking at.
Very cool. Very cool. Lots happening on then this next month here within July here. Not only do we got NHL, but then your New York Giants start training camp. We got a little bit going, right?
Yeah, we got to get that. I mean, I saw a comment by Carlos about Daniel Jones riding a bench. I wouldn't be too disappointed with that.
Oh man, hey, you know what? Like I said, Tyrod Taylor's right there.
He is. He's right there.
Mid-season, it might happen.
It might be
I can
happening
see
by
it.
week 4. It might be happening by week 4 if the
I
Giants
will.
are
I'll take that bet. I'll take that week 4. I'm definitely on that week 4. I think so.
Oh man, that's great. Well, we're gonna have you on more here.
I got,
Maybe
hold
we.
on. I
Yeah.
got one more
Oh, go
question
ahead, Nick.
All
for
right,
Jim.
go
Jim,
ahead.
I know you're a big wrestling fan, so I just got to get your
There you go.
There we
got to
go.
get your take on Forbidden Door last night, and what was your thoughts on it? Because I thought overall it was a pretty good show. I enjoyed the Will Ospreay Orange Cassidy match, and I enjoyed the I don't know the titles for the IGPW or whatever it was, but the 4-way with Adam Cole, Switchblade, Hangman, and Okada. I thought that match was pretty awesome as well. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on the Forbidden Door last night.
Yeah, I mean, AEW has to be putting pay-per-views on when the Stanley Cup Finals going on. But I was able to catch a tag team match with FTR, Jeff O'Connor, Jeff Cobb, Great O'Connor, and Roppongi Vice. That was a great match. I thought that was awesome. I thought top to bottom the card was excellent. I think for the injuries that happened, for the guys that weren't there, they made up for it with Claudio showing up against Zack Sabre Jr. That was excellent. The 4-way was great for the IWGP World Title. The U.S. title match was excellent. I thought that was a match of the night, to be honest. Will Ospreay versus Orange Cassidy. If you guys think Orange Cassidy is just a joke, this guy can wrestle and wrestle good. The entire card, outside of the buy-in, the main card from start to finish was very, very good. It was professional wrestling at its best, and just watch it. If you can find the matches, just do it because you're not going to be disappointed. AEW puts on a great show with New Japan. It was excellent. Grand Slam's going to be coming my way again September in Arthur Ashe, so you never know what's going to happen there. And obviously, they're probably going to do another Forbidden Door. But overall, very, very excellent show considering the fact that no Punk, no Brian Danielson, some other guy. The fact they got Okada late was great, and the fact that Claudio was a surprise, made that match even better. And now they could just move on, and now they're not cramming like 2 pay-per-views too soon. I think, to me, if they're going to do it next year, do it in July. That way you have more of a little bit of a build. That way you're not cramming everything in together. But other than that, I thought it was excellent.
Yeah, I thought you hit it right on the money. I thought those were. I had Claudio when they said who was coming. That was kind of my pick. Was Claudio was going to be that guy. And then you're right about Orange Cassidy. They keep putting him in those spots time and time again, and time again he delivers. I mean,
it is entertaining to watch that guy. Entertaining.
Yes, he is very entertaining. Hands in the pockets and everything. His gimmick sticks. Exactly.
Well, the best was last night. The best was last night when they do this pose down and he's just like this to Will Ospreay. He just throws the thumbs up. That was great.
I love it, dude. We'll have to do a little bit more wrestling too. I haven't really watched too much really in the last couple of years. I'll view it when I'm watching TikToks or Facebook, videos or whatever. Like I'll watch those, but I haven't really sat down and actually watched any kind of show, WWE or AEW, a long time. All I know is my guy Moxley is in AEW now, and he's back, and I loved him when he was in WWE. So he was one of my favorites.
Well, I'm glad they gave him the championship with Punk hurt. They made him the AEW Interim World Champion. Good for him because he never got the crowd run that he deserved when he beat Jericho right as the pandemic started. So he was a pandemic champion. So I'm glad he's getting this run with the title, even on an interim basis, so he gets the crowd reaction as a champion, and him and Punk will fight when Punk's ready to unify the title. So that should be an excellent match, and I can't wait for it.
Yeah, I thought
keep an eye for that one.
I thought it was pretty predictable that Moxley was going to win, but I mean, some of the times you just know that for storyline basis, that's the way they're going to have to go. But I mean, it was a hell of a match, and I mean, anytime Moxley's in there, he puts on a hell of a show. I'm looking forward to seeing him and Punk go at it and kind of cutting the promos. It'll be interesting because Moxley bleeds wrestling, and at one point Punk did too, and so I'm looking for a few good promos out of Moxley and Punk, much like we got out of Moxley and Punk and MJF. So I'm looking forward to seeing that rivalry when it kicks off.
Yeah, me too. I can't wait for that. I can't wait for Blood and Guts. That should be another crazy match. Yeah, AW's doing the thing right now. They're making it fun to watch wrestling again. Don't forget ROH got a pay-per-view coming up now. WWE's got John Cena coming back. So I mean, it's like, and even with the injuries to everybody across the board, product's still good. Enjoy what you want. I always say this to everybody. Don't matter if you're WWE guy, don't matter if you're AEW guy, whatever, Impact, doesn't matter. This is the best time to be a wrestling fan. Watch what you want. Enjoy what you want. Doesn't matter. We're all here to have fun and enjoy wrestling.
Amen. Amen. You said it, because it is entertaining there. Real quick here before I let you go, Jim. Carlos said Tyrod first week. He also says, I got a message to go watch Giants. He practices 11 of them during the preseason. And he'd rather watch Tomato Plant Scar than WWE.
Hey, wrestling's not for everybody, but it's for me.
Look, Carlos was with Keith and Dan and Ryan Larison yesterday on the collab show with on Let's Talk Sports. And this guy came out, and Carlos, I love you, but man, you guys have some strong feelings. But he said Bill Belichick should be gone. Not that he's great or anything. It's just time for him to leave, essentially, to pack his bags, and it's not going to happen anymore. So I don't know. This guy's talking Tyrod first week. He's talking Bill Belichick should be gone. So I don't know.
It's something in the New York water.
It's that bad New Yorker. That's what it is.
It's gotta be. I mean, he's crazy like that, but hey, it's all right.
I love it. We'll have Carlos on. Don't you guys worry. We'll get him on one day. So it'll be fun. Jim, I appreciate you coming on here and hanging out with us and talking hockey, real wrestling, little Giants here. We'll get you on. Maybe we can sneak you in next week, Monday, talk a little draft here, NHL draft, and get your thoughts on some players and stuff, and kind of go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll let you guys know what's going on. I know it's the 4th of July, so we'll see what plans I got. But if I'm around, I'll be able to do it. But I'll keep you guys informed as always. And thank you guys so much for having me on tonight, Nick, Tanner. It was awesome to talk to your audience about hockey and wrestling and everything and Giants and rather watch than Giants. Carlos, I love you. You're the man. But it's crazy, but it was a pleasure. You guys are the best. Thank you again for having me on. It was awesome.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it.
Just a few things today.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? Anytime you guys want to talk hockey, I'm your guy. Want to talk wrestling too, I'm here. So whenever you guys let me know, and I'll try to make it work as best as possible.
All right, keep those messages on, man.
Absolutely, I will.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
You too. Guy, that was Jim Biringer with the last Talk Hockey podcast. So the guy is phenomenal, fabulous on Let's Talk Sports as well. So make sure you guys go view him when he's on there. Such a great guy to watch, great guy to listen to. Nick, did you learn anything?
Yeah, I don't even know what that trophy was called, but
I still can't. I'm not even gonna try because I don't remember anything. I should have written it down.
I literally didn't know that though. The whole playoff thing. I didn't know that was a deal. In baseball they got for kind of each division. They give out an award for each. I guess they do that in basketball. I didn't know for hockey it was like from game 1 to the last game you got a chance to win the trophy.
Yeah, no idea. Could you imagine that though in basketball in NBA playoffs this year? Like, you're telling me a chance that Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown could have stole that from Steph, possibly?
Well, I mean, they were
if
playing.
They would have executed.
It'd have been like Jimmy Butler win it. Like, what if Jimmy Butler? What if there was a quick sweep in that series, and Jimmy Butler had his stats, or even a Luka who ended. They ended out and put up incredible, crazy stats. You could have made a case, right?
Carlos here. Every coach has his day. Did you like who had Notre Dame over 60? And then good job, Jimbo. And then he did say Conn Smythe. Is that right? Smythe? Conn Smythe?
Conn Smythe.
Right, or I'm gonna write that down here.
So, you could write it down, and I could write it down 30 times. Tanner, I'm probably not gonna remember. Conn Smythe. I mean, what's Carlos's bone with Bill Belichick, the greatest head coach of all time?
We'll have to bring him on one day. It's Carlos. He's a man New Yorker. There's a reason why he has that name of the man New Yorker.
Because he left the Jets? Is it because he left the Jets and spurned the Jets way back then? You're still holding a grudge 25 years later?
He's a Titans fan. It's all right. It's all right. So there's some crazy stuff going on in baseball world, right? Like we just got done with the Astros and the Yankees series this weekend. They almost got they got no hit again essentially through the Astros. I don't know, but hey, you know what?
A 0-52 streak. There was a 0-52 streak, a combined no-hitter on Sunday. They went into the 8th inning, and the Yankees still didn't have a hit. And then Giancarlo Stanton hit a home run to break it. But at one point, they were 0-52 in that 4 games set with the Astros.
That's ridiculous. Well, let's dig into it of our segment. What's our segment name called?
I don't know.
Dick series of the week, baby. Yeah.
I couldn't remember what it was. You asked me what it was, and I said, I don't know. I'm the one that came up with it.
I know, right? Come on. I was hoping you'd help me. All right, guys. We're going to bring Jonathan Grishman on the stream here. Jonathan, thanks for joining us last minute here to talk some baseball. By the way, congrats on your trophy, man, on this weekend. That's props.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for having me on as well. I know it's last minute. I'm always open to help out when I needed, and you guys got reached out. So I appreciate you having me, and thank you again for the congratulations after this weekend.
No problem. It's big, man. It's big. Big relief, right? Going into play.
Absolutely. It always is when they get to when those girls get to perform on the field and put their hard work out to test like that. It's always it's always proud and fun to be able to see.
You're coaching college, right, John? Is it college?
No, I coach select, so travel softball, travel baseball from high school ages mostly.
What year do they stop crying? Because I coached 9-10-year-olds this year, and I never got through a game where nobody cried. So I just need.
At times, I even in the high school girls, high school girls and even the boys. Sometimes if it's me coaching them, they don't stop crying at times.
So I just got to look forward to it the rest of the time.
You got to deal with it at times, and you sometimes tear them down and to build them up, to get them stronger. That's the best way to go about it.
Oh, they weren't crying because I was tearing them down. They were just crying to be crying.
That's what it is. Well, Jonathan, there's some crazy stuff going up there in that division with the Yankees and everything. There's I just had it here. I had a picture pulled up here. There it is. So, Baseballer, if you follow them on Facebook, they always have some good info and good pictures out, some memes. The Red Sox have gone 19-4 in June, but have only picked up 0.5 games on the Yankees. We just got done with an Astros-Yankees series where it was just ridiculous that the Astros have – I don't know, they have like some kind of number on those guys for the Yankees, and the Yankees finally broke through last night with Aaron Judge hitting bomb. So, what are we looking at here? This Yankees-Astros, was this a preview of potentially a game to get into the World Series, or what are we seeing here with these guys?
Absolutely. This is the game that's basically the best two teams in the American League. They're competing all year for that opportunity. I mean, and it's going to be. I don't see anybody. I don't see anybody contending with either one of them throughout the stretch of the season. The Yankees have really built up their lead, and not only in the division, but as far as in the American League. And in my opinion, the American League is very down right now as well. The competition level as far as contenders to challenge the number one team, the Yankees and the Astros, it's not there this year. It's not, as we've seen in past years, you see 4 or 5 teams that can challenge those top 10 contenders. You don't have that this year. So this weekend was a preview of the best 2 teams in the American League. And in my opinion, should be the American League Championship Series in October for the winner to represent the World Series and represent the American League in the World Series.
It seems like the last few years the Astros have had the Yankees numbers. Like what is it outside of the cheating method that we know that the Astros kind of admitted to? What is leading to that? I know a lot of pitching. I mean, I said the stat leading up into your introduction. The Yankees went 0 for 52 in this 4-game set at one point. I mean, so it almost could have been a 4-game sweep. I mean, the Yankees had 2. Game 1 was a walk-off, and last night was a walk-off. So what's with the Astros, and why they got the Yankees numbers?
What's funny about the cheating part, both teams were doing it too. So I mean, I know both fan bases were mad at, well, they were doing it. Well, so were they. They were doing it too. So you got to really discount the cheating part of it, because both teams were caught doing it. Only one really was actually punished for the opportunity at the time. To answer the question as far as why the Astros had the number is depth. They for many years, pitching wise and offensively and defensively, the Astros were just a deep team. Not a lot of teams could contend with the pitching staff the Astros had for years, for the last 4 or 5 years. Offensively, the amount of speed and power combined in the lineup is kind of what we've seen from the Yankees in years past. Within the last 10, 15 years, not so much recently in the Yankees until this year they started really putting it together, and they're able to be the Bronx Bombers that we've known them to be. Over the last 10 times, as the Astros were doing what the Yankees have done in the past, and was so shocking is that nobody's really done that to the Yankees except the Astros, and that's where everything kind of in place as far as the dominance of the American League that the Astros have had over everybody, and then especially the Yankees. So so that's how you look at it, is the depth wise that this team has just been so deep. Where now, actually, this year, because they've lost a few pieces here and there at times, you lose a Carlos Correa, you lose George Springer over the last couple of years as well. Yeah. The pitching staff has not been as deep, so that's where they kind of come back down to earth in the weaker American League. They're still the best of the American League West, but the Yankees have surpassed them right now, which is something that we haven't seen in the last 3 or 4 years, and that's where you're seeing the Yankees are just head and shoulders above the Astros here in 2022.
And Arnold Chapman's coming back here. They previewed some bullpen, some training and such. Is he going to be effective for this team, though? Because I feel like in the past I heard a lot of blown games from him. And the guy doesn't have a big pitch selection. He throws harder than I ever want to stand in a box in. But it's just a guy that is going to maybe help the Yankees in some kind of way with the bullpen, with that strong arm? Or are we looking at potential just a 50-50 kind of battle?
If he starts using that slider off his fastball more, then yes, I think he could be that dominant closer that he had been over the last decade. He's been a pitcher who relies on velocity, but as you get older, the velocity starts to go down. Now, he still throws at 100 miles an hour, but he's been a little bit more erratic with his location on that fastball. So he has to pitch off the slider, and how devastating that slider can be. If he can use that, and what I mean by pitching off is basically using the slider as the pitch of choice that he goes to. Because it used to be the fastball. When he was dominant, 5-6 years ago, that fastball was just lightning. And then he pitched. Then he'd use the sliders just because you're looking for 100, 104 miles an hour fastball. Nobody can touch the slider. He has to use the slider now to help the fastball out to catch where nobody can catch up to it. If he's able to kind of readjust himself and be able to redefine himself as a pitcher, then yes, he can still be that dominant closer that he's always been. The Yankees have had for half a decade. And if he struggles with that side of it, I think he could be a liability. I think it's the former. I think he's going to be, the Aroldis Chapman we've known for a very long time. He has not really been touched by Father Time just yet, completely as far as with the skill set. But he's got to change how he pitches to be able to be effective more so this year and in the future. If he can do that, the Yankees are going to be really happy with what he can do in the back end of that bullpen.
Speaking of Father Time, guy that it seems like he's just keeps fighting off all the time. Justin Verlander, I mean, he could very easily be the Cy Young Award winner. How is he still going? And how is he still so damn good at this age? Like, I feel like the guy's been pitching, I don't know, my whole life, and I'm 35 years old, and he's still going strong.
And didn't he just have Tommy John last year?
He did,
right?
Yes.
And he's still like it was nothing?
Well, and that's the thing about it. He had Tommy John recently, but if you think about it too, he's actually had 2 years off. He had the COVID year where he sat out. I think he opted out of the COVID year. He did get hurt last year as well. So those legs and arms are actually fresh right now after the last 2 seasons of not necessarily playing. I know, again, having Tommy, it's kind of ironic to say he's fresh after coming off of Tommy John surgery. But the legs are healthier right now just because he hadn't pitched in the last 2 years. The shoulder is healthy as well. So he's able to kind of, reset his clock. If you're talking about Father Time, he reset it by 2 years right now just because of the lack of pitching that he's done in that time frame from the COVID season and last year. So that's kind of what looking at. There's been a lot of talk about how does COVID, if you opted out, you're actually a lot fresher than a lot of these guys who had to play a 60-game season in almost like 70 days or something like that, and how much toll that absolutely took on ball players in that 2020 shortened season. So he didn't have to go through the rigors of that season. He didn't have to go through the trials and tribulations that a lot of those guys did. Whereas, he had obviously the injury last year. But that body's fresh right now compared to some of the guys who've been playing and pitching over these 2-year frame of with 200 ball games. I think it was like 200 ball games in a year and a half, and that's or 230 ball games in a year and a half, and that's just rough. So he's able to be fresh because of the lack of games. And again, that's just bananas to say, but that is the thing. And he's been one of the best pitchers in this generation. At this point of his career, he's still that good. So. I mean, if you're one of the best and you've been the best, it's going to carry on if you can keep yourself healthy. And right now, he's been able to do that coming back from Tommy John and from COVID.
So you're saying he's in season 38 instead of season 40. I got you.
Yes. Yes.
At 38 years old, 36-year-old, right? He's right up there at near 40. So
yeah, I think he's probably 38. I think he's about 37, 38 years old. I think is where he's at.
Oh, man, now you got me. I got to check. All right, we're going to hit some comments real quick here. Carlos here says, hey, John. Man, New Yorker Carlos. No crying in baseball. I just put on the beats, man. That's fair. He says, the AL is like the AFC West East in the NFL. I don't know. I guess that might be fair.
So, I mean, these two teams, we just kind of talked about it, John. Like, what is the best? Like, I mean, we going to add here both these teams? What are they looking to add as far as the trade deadline coming up to get one over the other?
I think more if you're looking at the Yankees, it's always about pitching for them. They need, and again, their pitchers this season have overachieved. I talked in one of the shows I do. I was not expecting the Yankees to be pitching as well as they did. I thought that was the weakest part of their team. They were going to be a middle of the pack team in the American League East because their pitching staff just didn't have the name brand of what you're expecting from contenders. Besides Garrett Cole, you had guys who you never heard of, who never really had the opportunity to be a solid number 2 rotation guy, number 3 rotation guy, guys who haven't been able to be healthy in their throughout a full season. So I really didn't expect the pitching staff to be as good as they do, but you still add to the pitching. Even if your pitching's been good, you can never have enough arms to go through the postseason just because of how the game's changed at that point, especially what the game is today for pitching. Depth matters more than anything. Quality depth matters. So I could see the Yankees adding more to either the bullpen to get a little bit more deep in that just because, again, guys who have never pitched in September and October in meaningful baseball games for them, they may not go 6 or 7 innings. They're probably going to go 4 or 5, and they get to the bullpen as quickly as possible. So I can see the Yankees adding into their bullpen piece to really solidify their pitching staff and make it a deeper team, a deeper part of their game plan in the postseason in September and October. For the Astros, I think they still need a little. I think I could see pitching as well for them, but I think they need another bat. They need to be a little bit more balanced offensively. And getting a little bit more out of some of the guys. Yordan Alvarez has just been on fire this year. Alex Bregman is still playing like he's been, but you still have you're still looking at some of the rosters and where they're at in the lineup, and there's some holes in that lineup. So I can see them adding a bat in there, another piece to the lineups to make it deeper. And kind of combat the pitching that you may see the Yankees try to add later on. And you have a lot of teams that do that. If you're chasing a team, if you're contending with a team that's 1 and 2 in the league, what they do, you may counter with the move in that aspect of it. Braves did it last year. Being a Braves fan, teams were adding arms to their bullpen or to the rotation. The Braves knew they needed to add offense. They went and got 4 offensive pieces to combat the pieces that some of the contenders in the National League we're trying to add. I could see the Astros doing the same thing and adding an offensive piece to that lineup to make it deeper, to be tougher for the Astros for the Yankees to pitch to them.
No, that's fair. By the way, Verlander, 39, and he's still doing this.
It's ridiculous. It's crazy how that works.
Do you think he's going to drop off then at the end of the year? I mean, we talked about how fresh he is, arm and legs now, but I mean, we know baseball season's a marathon. So, I mean, the second half, I mean, he can't be as good as he's going to be as he was the first half, right? Like, I mean, are we expecting a drop off of Verlander here?
I don't see that. I mean, he's this generation's best pitcher. Over the last decade, I don't see what could cause. I mean, again,
over Kershaw.
Consistently, again, because Kershaw had a lot. I mean, again, I love Clayton. I know Clayton. I would have to go to Verlander. Verlander's been more consistent in bigger games throughout his career than what Kershaw did. And again, that's not a knock on Kershaw for it, but in a long-term stretch of where the meaningful games are played and what happens in those and how you pitch and how you dictate a baseball game, Verlander's been the guy. Kershaw has been number 2 behind him, but Verlander's been that guy. So I'd give that nod by a slight edge. I mean, maybe hopefully Clayton's not mad at me at the end of this when I say that. But I'd give that edge to Verlander and saying that he's just been the most consistent pitcher when the game when it's meaningful, when the game's on the line, when the season's on the line. He's been the one that goes get the ball and he goes and performs. So yeah, I'd give it to Verlander over that one to be the best pitcher of this generation. Obviously, Kershaw being the best left-handed pitcher in this generation, Verlander being the best righty, but between those two, yeah, I'd give it to Verlander.
Yeah, look what he did with the Tigers, too, Verlander. Like, he was always consistent day in, day out. He was a guy I hated as a Royals fan having to face because you just know it wasn't going to be a good day. So, by the way, real quick for Verlander, he's at 89.1 innings pitched so far this year, and he has about 93.8 pitches per start. So, he sits there in the 90s consistently, but, the guy has 9 wins, 2.22 ERA, and what is it, energy, what stays in motion, or what is it, keeps in motion, stays in motion. The guy's just going to keep going. He's warm.
And that's where I could say he will be able to sustain this through the year. They're managing him very well right now. His pitch count is in the 90s on average. He's not getting above 100 pitches. He's not having to work too hard in that aspect of it. They're managing him because they know what he is. He's a 39-year-old coming off of Tommy John. They're not going to use him overly much. If they need to give him an extra day to rest, at some point here in August and September, they'll give him that extra start. So they're going to manage him very well because they know that was a missing piece for them last year in that rotation, that if they had Verlander in the World Series, we could be talking about the Astros beating the Braves and being World Series champions. So that's just an arm that they did not have. They didn't have. So they're going to find ways to manage his pitch count, manage how many innings he's able to go. And if they do it right, absolutely. I don't see Verlander slowing down at that point then.
Yeah, he has 16 walks on the year, which means the guy isn't just throwing it all over the place. He's making the hitter swing, and he's making it count. Pitches count. That is the best part about it, to be able to stay longevity, is to minimize your four ball walks, keep that low, keep your strikeouts high, and get those outs as well. So that's a huge thing there. So real quick here, Yankees are up 11 games to the Red Sox, 12.5 to the Rays, and 12.5 to the Blue Jays. And then the Astros are up 10.5 to the Rangers. Los Angeles is 11 Angels, 11.5 and 12 games to the Mariners. What are we thinking here? Like, I thought the East still looks like potential of having 4 playoff teams in this year. Are we still feeling that, even though the Yankees are up so much?
Yeah, again, it's just a matter of who's the wild card. I mean, I don't see the Yankees unless a catastrophic collapse. And my goodness, I mean, if that happens, heads in New York will absolutely spin. A riot will occur on Fifth Avenue. I mean, you could just see something happen if they blow this lead. But I don't see it happening. I think that the Yankees are just too good. The teams in the division are just that far behind. If I had to pick a team that could try to push them, I'll give it to the Blue Jays. But again, you're talking about a double-digit deficit in games back. There's just no way that a team in the American League East can catch up to them. So it's a matter of wild card positioning, and you got to see again. This is a weak American League this year. We're talking about 2 divisions with double-digit leads. So I could see the Blue Jays being one of the teams. The Red Sox and Rays are going to battle it out probably throughout the season. And as far as positioning, it could be. You could see a Blue Jays, Red Sox, Rays be wild card teams in the expanded postseason we're going to have this year in the American League. And if that's the case, I mean, you're going to see a little bit interesting how the dynamic of the postseason play with that many American League East teams competing, and it's just going to be a slugfest of how those are going to work, and it's going to be back and forth just because the familiarity. It could be, if you're the Yankees, you're actually scared about that because you have teams that they know you. And I would be a little bit worried. I would prefer a team like in the American League West or American League Central get in if I'm the Yankees, just to say, hey, we've seen these guys 20 times in the regular season. I don't want to see them again. Get another team in there, and let's see if we can compete with those groups.
And finally, the Yankees are 31-9 at home. We know they play in a smaller ballpark, may I say. I don't go quite to
Little League. You can say Little League.
I was going to say Little League. What can I say? Like, do we feel like if the Yankees, for some reason, have to play away, do we feel like maybe they're going to be on the short side of things again, like they were last year? Because if they're at home, obviously they can hit the ball out because they got all the home run hitters. But if they're away, they are 22-11 away on away games. But you got the Astros at 20-11 at home, and they play in a way bigger ballpark than the Yankees. Like, do you think that's going to be the downfall for them if they have to pair up with the Astros? That's the reason why, is because of the ballpark for the Yankees?
So, in the answer, as far as a fan, you are worried about that, and you're saying, well, hey, you're having your advantage at home where you just put the ball up in the air at 50 degrees, and again, talking about launch angle, how those guys just absolutely love it in New York, because all you got to do is put a ball in the air, let the jet stream in Yankee Stadium, carry the ball 310 feet or 300 feet. It's the same size as a slow pitch softball field, and they treat it like a slow pitch softball field, and they're able to hit the ball out every time. But when you go to the ballparks that are bigger and they're a little bit different dimensions, it does kind of haunt you a little bit because you're trying. And when the weather cools down, even in Houston, and they do have the advantage of the roof where they close the roof and the wind doesn't carry as much anymore, it does affect things a little bit differently in October compared to how it is out in the summer during those other ballparks where the ball carries more. So it's a disadvantage, and it's an advantage and a disadvantage if you're the Yankees, because you're just so accustomed to what you do at home that you try to recreate it, and it doesn't work out that way. So it definitely can haunt you if you're a fan of those teams. If you're a player, you don't care. You don't think about it. That's not even in the back of your mind. And as far as what the size of the ballpark is, and I need to adjust this. What they do successfully, what Aaron Judge does successfully, what Anthony Rizzo does successfully, they don't change just because they're in a ballpark that's a little bit bigger. They still do what they're supposed to do. So if you're the fans of those teams, you are in panic mode when you go to we have to travel here, we have to do this. If you're a ball player and you're playing in these games, no, it's not even in the back of your mind. It's saying, if we're traveling and we got to do this in Houston at Minute Maid Park, we have to change how we play there. No, that's not necessarily in the mindset at that point.
And just to note here, Yankees are plus 144 in differential to the Astros plus 62. So that says a lot. Plus 144.
You're definitely going to see it. I'm saying these are two teams you're going to see in the American League Championship Series. I mean, mark it down now, June 27th. I mean, I just don't see a team that's going to, in any of the divisions, any American League Central either, I just don't see a team that's going to contend with those two. They're just that much better than everybody right now.
Agreed. Nick, you got anything else?
Yeah, I got one question. It's kind of just off, like the game of baseball itself. So when we were growing up as kids, we'd see a lot of guys go 9 innings. Now it's like 5 and out, and especially in the playoffs, it's like once they get through that third time of the order, they're pulling them. Is that going to change? Are we going to go back to the older time? And as well as with hitting, like it's home run. It seems like the last few years, especially home run or strikeout. Now it seems like teams are getting back into that little bit of put the ball in play and working guys throughout the base. Are we going back to that older style? Because that's the style of baseball I prefer anyway, more than the home run or nothing. And are we going to get these pitchers eventually going to go back to pitching 9 games? Or are we stuck at this analytic bullshit that it doesn't matter if you got a perfect game or pulling you after the third time through the order?
I love the question, and because I always talk to a lot of people about this. You're going to gradually get back to older ways of baseball, but not completely there. The analytics is here to stay. It's just that we have to accept it. We have to embrace it a little bit. But what you're starting to see a little bit, and players are starting to speak out against it a little bit more right now. They talked about that on ESPN last night during the Braves and Dodgers game. where you had players who are actually going to the analytics departments of the front office and saying, hey, we're willing to listen to you, but you got to start listening to us too, because there's certain things that we know about the game that you don't know because you've never experienced it, that we need to continue to do a little bit more of. We'll embrace the numbers. Players are starting to really, take into the analytics, the sabermetrics of the game, and have a better understanding of it. That's something that we didn't understand more about 10 years ago, or 15 years ago, 20 years ago. When Moneyball first came around in the Oakland A's back in the early 2000s, players didn't really understand. They were just told, this is what it means. This is what you need to do. Now you're starting to see players fully embrace it and understand it. So now they're like, okay, I get you. But you got to come meet me a little bit more now and let me play the game that it's supposed to be. Managers are starting to actually even rebel a little bit as well. Joe Madden came out and said, hey, I embraced analytics when we were in Tampa. I embraced it when we were in Chicago, but it's becoming a little bit too heavy-handed now, and we're relying on the numbers more than relying on what the players can do and what they're supposed to be doing. So I think you're starting to see a little bit more about the players and managers speaking up to say, we're fine with what the numbers say, but we still got to play the game. There was a story actually during last season where the Dodgers have the most advanced analytic group in their front office, and they came out and said that the analytics side and the coaching staff and the players actually do meet during the season a couple times a month, and they work together. And in the front office, the team president and the owners basically said, hey, we trust our coaching staff and players, but we also trust our analytics. Work together, find a way to make it work. If it does, we're going to be champions. If it doesn't, we'll find people who will make it work. And you're starting to see more teams embrace both sides of the game because you have to use both. It's a tool. Analytics is a tool. If it's relied upon, it's not going to work out. And we've seen that over the last 20 years where teams have relied on the numbers and not necessarily the players, and it fails because it's a failed system. But if you let the players play with the numbers as a tool and they use it properly, it's successful. It's part of history now that we see it. So you will see the regular game back. It may take 5, 6, 7, 8 years to do so, but you're going to start seeing it slowly and gradually get back to the game that we know that's been around for 150 years and beyond.
Yeah, and I feel like it has started really turning that way. So I don't know if you guys caught it in the Let's Talk Sports group page, but I posted that my brother was on the Milwaukee Brewers podcast talking about the hitting coach, right? His hitting strategy and everything. And his was more of being more efficient on your pitch selection, right? Trying to earn the walks, trying to earn the outside pitches and get the pitchers to throw more in the zone and take advantage of those in the area to be able to go. So that's a whole different kind of thing. I feel like in the last 10 years that hasn't really been part of stuff. So I thought that was really interesting to hear that, you're trying to fade away from what the pitchers have been trying to do for the past 10 years, which is get you on the outside, make it just outside the strike zone and stuff like that, to now the hitters are going to have to force the pitchers to bring it back into the zone and then take advantage of that pitch, essentially.
Yeah, and guys are actually doing it. Again, pitchers are following analytics now. That's the other side of it too. Is pitchers are following more about it, and with the velocities of that's being pitched out there, the increase in velocity, where guys are averaging Major League Baseball pitchers. I think I saw the average fastball is between 95 and 97 now. 20 years ago, if you had a guy throw 97, that's a unicorn in Major League Baseball. Now everybody throws 97, and so the philosophy and mindset of pitching has changed. Where 97 to 100 miles an hour, I'm going to challenge you in the inside corner. If you can catch up to it, I'm going to break your bat. If you hit it, great, awesome. But more likely, you're not going to catch up to this pitch. So pitchers are challenging because of what the analytics say for them. That if you throw hard and you're having some movement on these pitches, who cares what the count is? Who cares what the situation is? Bust them inside and see what these hitters can do. So now so as we talk about pitching off of other pitches, they're now pitching off of location in today's game based off of what they're throwing. Letting that ball go 97 and then say, all right, we'll go soft away. It used to be go hard away and work soft inside to kind of throw their timing up. Now you're seeing the opposite on that side where they're throwing hard inside on them and letting the soft pitches work more away to them.
Yeah, exactly. Anything else, Nick?
No, I'm good, man. Jonathan,
Yeah.
we appreciate you, man.
Yeah, Jonathan, thanks for hopping on. I know it's last minute, but we really do appreciate it. Always love your insight. We'll definitely work to get you on again here and maybe talk another round of another series coming in play.
No, thank you guys. I appreciate it. I always enjoy doing these shows. And hey, like I said, last minute time, I always make time for you guys.
Hey,
Always
it.
appreciate it.
Thank
All right,
you.
go get another trophy. Go get another title.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. We'll see you later. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, that's another guy. I had him on my. We did a mock draft show. I had him and Jeremy B on, and that was phenomenal. He's a Saints fan, so we were just going back and forth, and we all picked for the Browns. So it was a phenomenal time, and it's always nice to have him on. So always appreciative of him hopping on.
Yeah, a lot of great insight there on baseball. It sounds like we were right on the money, Tanner, when we said Astros and Yankees looks like to be the ALCS, barring some sort of crazy injuries. I was dead wrong on my preseason. I had neither one of them teams win their division. So
I didn't think the Yankees would actually be this good, to be honest with you.
I'll admit when I'm wrong, and I'll admit when I'm right as well.
Well, shall we move on to the NBA?
Yeah, I'm just I was just gonna say I am seeing a bunch of updates, and this is breaking news. Here, it looks like the Rockets and John Wall have agreed to a buyout. And
what?
Yes, they're a buyout, and John Wall plans to sign with the LA Clippers once he clears waivers from the Rockets.
Wow. John Wall to the Clippers. That means Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. They can't leave now. There's no way, right?
No, that's going to be a nice three-headed monster. I mean, John Wall hasn't played basketball, like good basketball, in like 3 years.
In a while.
Didn't play at all last year, but he wanted to play, but the Rockets told him to stay home or sit out.
I've never understood that. Kemba Walker had the same situation, and I've never understood those situations of you go and you pay a player, but then the player's just trying to, he just wants to get on the court, and you just, no, we don't want you. You're going to ruin our draft pick.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it is, right?
Yeah, I mean, we'll stay home and play. I mean, that's another guy, Kemba Walker. We'll see what happens with that situation in New York, because obviously they brought him in this past year, and they clearly have sour grapes on that deal. It was supposed to be the hometown hero coming back and kind of getting the Knicks, pushing the Knicks further back into the playoffs. Well, that was just a complete disaster. I mean, Tom Thibodeau is the three-headed headache. That's right. I mean, who knows what
it might be. It's the Clippers, for God's sake. Yeah. So, who knows? And, if you think about it, John Wall did play all of last year. The Rockets ended up with 3 and got Jabari Smith from Auburn. They could have been down to, I don't know, let's just say 8 around the Pelicans area. They could have got Dyson Daniels or Shaden Sharp, or Jimmy Showen. So, I don't know. I feel like that's actually a pretty big move for the Clippers.
It is. It's a good move for the Clippers. I mean, you're adding another veteran guy to the 2 guys that you didn't have. We haven't seen Kawhi now play in a year. Does seem, though, I'll say this, when Kawhi does play, his teams make the NBA Finals or the Western Conference Finals. They were in the Western Conference Finals 2 years ago when he tore his ACL, and then he had to sit out all of this year. Before that, he got the Raptors, made it to the Raptors all the way to the NBA Finals. Obviously, there was the COVID year in between that. But, I mean, when Kawhi's playing, they're in the championship. I mean, the LA hospitals are going to be busy because you're going to have Wall. You're going to have, Anthony Street Clothes Davis on the Lakers. You're going to have Kawhi. You're going to have Paul Playoff P, even though he never showed up in the playoffs, Paul George, plus LeBron. Good thing there's a lot of hospitals there in LA to, tend to those guys.
That's right. And if you guys haven't at this point here, make sure you guys like the video below. Give it a heart if you're on Twitter, or a favorite, I think, on Twitch. So make sure you just like it. Keep us up. Let us know how we're doing. So, first round here. All right. So, we just got done with the draft. We kind of talked about this Saturday with Let's Talk Sports. And I just thought it was kind of interesting going down the way here. And we can talk a little bit more about it. We talked about I talked a little bit about the Grizzlies and Ty Washington. I thought being a big pick. I also talked about Wendell Moore Jr. going to the Mavericks. I thought was another huge pick for depth. But I think a guy I didn't really talk about is Patrick Baldwin Jr. from Milwaukee, a guy that's actually going to revamp Golden State depth area and still be a big impact, I think, next year because the guy's kind of all-around player. Like, this is – Warriors are just essentially just rebuilding at this point because they're not going to sign everybody back. They'll probably get Poole back. They might get Looney on a cheaper deal. Outside of that, Patrick Baldwin Jr. is going to fit right in, I think, with this depth. So, but what are you seeing here?
I think, Looney to me is gone. Like, why would you bring Looney back? I thought he was great, but you already got Draymond. You got Andrew Weissman coming back.
I forgot James Weissman coming back.
Yeah, I said Andrew. James Weissman coming back. So I think that the Warriors they're kind of more retooling and trying to get that next core ready to go for when Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond either officially retire or that they break up. So it'll be interesting. The NBA draft to me is the hardest outside of just because it's such young kids at 19 to 20 years old. We've only seen them really once, and a lot of them are one and done. I'd say to me right now, I'd like I talked about it. I didn't like the team he went to, but I was a big Keegan Thompson guy going in. I thought he has the highest floor going into, but the lowest ceiling as in maybe the next few years. But the highest floor, I think he was the most NBA ready of the top 10 or so guys. A guy that could get you, 15.
Are you talking about Keegan Murray?
Yeah. Okay. Is that who I said, right?
I think you said Thompson.
Oh, Keegan Murray. Yeah, Keegan Murray.
It's all right. I just want to make sure we're clear.
Yeah.
From Iowa. That guy I like a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, he can get you rebounds. He can get you 15 and 20 right away. He can shoot it anywhere on the floor. He gets rebounds. He's the perfect NBA forward these days, a guy that's inside, outside, can pass well. I didn't like the fit to the Kings. I also liked Ivy out of Purdue, but I didn't like Keegan Murray to the Kings. I didn't like that spot for Keegan Murray. I liked it. I like Keegan Murray this year, as I just think he has a high floor and but maybe a lower ceiling, where some of these guys got low floors this coming year or two, but a very, very high ceilings. And that's what the NBA draft's all about, is drafting guys 2 or 3 years down the road. Now there might be 1 or 2 that can play now, but I mean, if you look at the last few years MVPs, when they were drafted, Nikola Jokic and Giannis, when nobody even knew who the hell they were when they were drafted. But
now not at all.
They're the 2-time, combined have 4 MVPs. They've won the last 4 MVPs. So, that tells you that the NBA draft, you can find guys at great value even later down the road. I mean, you look at Jimmy Butler was drafted like number, 32, Draymond Green as well. So, I mean, you can find guys. It just takes time for guys to get their feet underneath them because, I mean, they're 18, 19-year-old kids.
Yeah, I believe we're going to see a lot more impact in this draft, the bottom 5, than I think we do the top 5, honestly. The top 5 are good players. Jabari Smith is my favorite of those. I think he's going to have the most impact in that top 5. But I think the rest of them are just still a lot of development still to go for them. And you're going to see a lot more impact at the bottom 5 right away than you will see the top 5.
Yeah, and when you're going to the bottom 5, you're going to a team that's already completed, that you can just go in there and be a good role player. When you're going to a top 5 team, you're going to a team that's not very good, that you're going to have to be the star and you got to get a lot of playing time. And then you're a kid playing against grown-ass men.
Time to invest in these health-related stocks. I like it. I love it. Yeah, I don't know. Who do you think won the draft? You walked away with an overall better team that could potentially get them back, or either back in the playoffs or into the playoffs that were borderline.
I don't know. I mean, there wasn't any trades, so there wasn't a team that I felt like that put them over there. I would say the Knicks did not win the draft. If you had to ask me who won the draft, I'll say the Knicks did not. I think I'd have to say the Thunder. I thought they drafted well. They still have a shit ton of picks to go to, and they have Chet Holmgren now to go. I'm not a big Chet Holmgren fan. I feel like I could just body him myself and just break his little twig body. but a good rim protector. They had drafted another guy there as well. They have a nice young team. They're building. So if I had to say anybody, I guess I'll go ahead and say the Oklahoma City Thunder, just because they continue to add young talent on top of young talent and still acquire more picks on top of more picks.
Yeah, and I actually think the Memphis ended up winning this one. So they did it. So Houston actually got Ty along with Jabari Smith. So I'm actually going to go Houston into this play because I thought they might have actually had a couple of great players that could be potentially starters at some point, or maybe right away for that team the way it is. If they can just get out of their feelings or whatever they got going down in Houston and go get some decent players, these guys could potentially make at least the play-in tournament, if not a bottom seed, solidify a bottom seed, because these guys have a chance. But they did trade away, what's his name, to the Mavericks right before the draft. I can't remember. Saved my life. But he was a power forward for them.
Wood.
Christian Wood. Christian Wood. Thank you. So trading Christian Wood did hurt them, but I thought it freed up maybe some cap or some money as well. So maybe they go out and get a guy, replace John Wall, replace some Christian Wood. You got Jabari Smith, Ty Washington now. I think you guys are leading in the right direction. You got to go out and get some players. You got to go spend some money. All right? You got to go spend some money. Hopefully guys that want to be there, not a James Harden.
But, I mean, who's going to go there? Because most of these veterans that are, your top caliber guys are going to be guys that we're going to want to go to contenders. Houston's got young talent. I did like the the kid from Auburn. When you get Jabari Smith, when you get possibly the number one, people circle as the number one guy, and you get him at 3, I think that's, a nice little bargain there. So hopefully it'll be interesting. This will be one of them picks where – a few years later, we'll see. Remember, a couple years ago, it was the 76ers took who's that point guard who could never really play in the Jason Tatum draft. And
he's playing for Orlando now. The guy who who all of a sudden forgot how to shoot. It's like Space Jam. It's like Space Jam. He touched the ball, and then all of his skills left, and now he can't play.
Yeah, he had the yips. He got the yips. He did finally turn it around a little bit in Orlando, and then he tore his ACL. Now I can't remember his name.
I'm going to look it up. Keep going.
Off the top of his head. But, there could be a trade like that where Jason Tatum fell to number 3. So, will the Magic, who we talked about on Saturday's show with Dan on Let's Talk Sports, is that, they didn't ever meet with Pablo. Like, they didn't never talk to him. They never worked him out.
Markelle Fultz.
Markelle Fultz, that's it. Yeah, I was just trying to buy time until you got the answer, but they didn't ever do anything. They didn't find out if Pablo invited his damn team to his birthday. So it'll be interesting to see how this pans out for the Orlando Magic going forward. I mean, it seems like these couple teams are repeat offenders here. The Magic, I feel like, are always there in the top 5. They haven't hit. It looks. Speaking of this, I seen this. I've been reading that San Antonio there's going to be trading DeJounte Murray to Atlanta.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what I've been. That's a trade that's been cooking up. I've seen for John Collins on draft night it was going to happen, and then today I was looking at. They were saying Denaro Gallinari for like 3 first-round picks for DeJounte Murray. In San Antonio.
Hey, that'd be big for Atlanta right there because they're always missing a key piece. They had that great run 2 years ago. Last year, they just didn't have enough to be able to get done. They had injuries as well. But if they get Murray, that's going to be a huge key for them and be able to push forward. Maybe once again making another strong run. So that'd be interesting.
They need another scorer there in Atlanta outside of somebody that can take that pressure off of Trey.
Oh, big time. That's exactly what they need. Carlos asked if OKC can move up this year with their draft because they had Chet, and I really think they could. I thought Oklahoma City was one of those, underrated teams just because they weren't very good, but I don't think they were really getting blown out by any means. It just they couldn't finish, they couldn't execute. I think OKC could be one of those sneaky teams coming into play this next year, depending what happens here on free agency and such. And the Pistons, look, I love the Pistons at the moment because I do like a lot of their players that's on there. I think they got really hard playing players, and their coach is phenomenal. The old Toronto coach, he did coach of the year, former coach of the year.
Yeah.
He's out there making things happen with that team, and I think there's a chance, pending, of course, free agency, these guys could also be a team that maybe not make the playoffs, but be a strong contention for at least a play-in tournament. So it's gonna be kind of interesting in that. So, any other thoughts on the draft here in NBA?
Nah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, we kind of I mean,
Cool.
It's a wait and see, man. That's kind of how it always is.
It really is right now, and we'll have a Monday working to get Charles on. He covers a lot of the NBA. He's a Knicks fan as well, but he's been posting a lot of stuff in Let's Talk Sports. I'm hoping to get him on to talk more about free agency for the NBA and get his thoughts of kind of the big moves, Knicks, maybe some Lakers, some other stuff going on. So we'll see what he does for next Monday here as well. So, all right, wrap it up here. We're talking some UFC.
Yeah,
got some big matches.
Oh yeah, so some big fights this Saturday. It's the biggest card the UFC's put on this year. It's International Fight Week, UFC 256. I'm just gonna highlight the co-main and main event.
Is it 276 or 256?
Dude, I said 256. Gosh,
it's
getting
okay.
late. It's
No, you're okay. I just want to make sure I was
my brain's turning into mush here. But UFC 256 here this Saturday night. On my show, we'll have a pre-show on Saturday and a post-show on Sunday. So we'll go all into depth on all of that on Friday or Saturday and Sunday. But we're going to talk quick, just the co-main and main event. So in the co-main event, you have Alex Volkanovski, the champion Alex Volkanovski, the featherweight champ, versus Max Holloway. This is the third time they fought. Now, Volk owns 2 wins over Max. Now, the first time they fought was pretty, decisive. You could say Volk won 3 of the 5 rounds, maybe even five rounds. But the last time they fought, almost 2 years to the day, you could go back and watch those 5 rounds, and you still couldn't tell me who won that fight. So this is the third fight between the two. They've both won 2 fights since. I think Volkanovski has had faced better opposition in his 2 fights, has had to dig a little deeper, especially in the Ortega fight. If you go back and watch him fight Ortega has him in a choke, which, I mean, even Volkanovski come out and said everything was turning black, and he was just able enough to squeeze just enough out of it to get his chin underneath it and to relax just a little bit. But twice was close to, they thought it was over and Ortega was going to be the new champ. Max has fought 2 guys, and the one he just pieced the guy up. He pieced Calvin Kattar up in a bloody bloodbath. Just was coming off a fight in December where he beat Yair Rodriguez. We just saw Volkanovski just pieced up and beat up Korean Zombie a couple months ago. This fight's going to be pretty good. I think I have to give the edge to Volkanovski here, just due to the fact that, I think he's fought in better talent since the last time they fought. I think he's gotten better. He wins this fight and he beats Max Holloway for a 3rd time. He could possibly go down as the greatest featherweight champion in UFC history.
Wow. Is it just by defeating the guy 3 times or just for retaining the title?
Well, he'll have retained the title a couple times, and he's beat kind of the who's who of the featherweight division. He's beat on his way there. He beat aging Jose Aldo to get there. He's beaten some tougher guys. The fact that this would be his 4th title defense, which is tough to do these days in any era, much less this era, but very easily could be the greatest featherweight there. And then after that, he's kind of really cleaned out the division. He's beat the top 4 or 5 guys, and there's talk of him maybe moving up to lightweight and becoming a champ, and that's a possibility that maybe we could even see in October or maybe even early next year.
Gotcha. Interesting. And so I was watching some videos here trying to prep for this UFC content, and I heard a lot between like the 3 or 4 videos our podcasters I watched, and they're saying this is a lot of mismatch, a lot of different styles, more to say, not very not necessarily like better or worse or anything, more of like different fighting styles. Is this main matchup, the featherweight matchup, one of those, or are they pretty similar styles?
They're a little bit. So Max is a very stand-up boxer guy. He has said that he's the best boxer in the UFC. And you watch him fight, loves to stand up. Now Volk is more, I think, well-rounded. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and knock, Max Holloway's wrestling or his jiu-jitsu game. I just think that Volk is a little bit more well-rounded, and we've seen that especially in the first fight. So if it gets to the ground, I think that favors, Volk. Where also,
Thanks, Carlos.
Thanks, Carlos. It's not boring, but check it out. I mean, I used to think so until I just deep dived into the UFC, and I love every bit of it. Where I think Max has just got the reach in the boxing, in the fighting, in the stand-up game. So if it gets to the ground, I do like Volkanovski. And then in the main event, we have Israel Adesanya who is the champ and has not lost at middleweight. The only time he's lost in the UFC is when he moved up to light heavyweight and tried to become champ. Didn't even gain any pounds. He fought the light heavyweight champ at one. So middleweight is 185, and that's what Adesanya weighed. And he fought a guy who had to cut down to 205, and then bulks back up to probably about 260. That's the only time Adesanya has lost in the UFC, but he's the middleweight champ, and he's taken on another guy who only has one loss in the middleweight, and that's Jared Cannonier. Jared Cannonier's only loss is to maybe possibly the second best middleweight in the UFC, and that's Robert Whittaker, who Adesanya has now beaten twice pretty decisively. Knocked Whittaker out the first time, and then beat him just a few months ago in easily 5 rounds. That was pretty easily. This fight's going to be a banger. It's two guys who just love to throw. They love to bang. Cannonier's got some power, but I just think Adesanya is probably the best counter puncher in the UFC there is right now going. His striking is, he's going to be able to keep Jared at a distance, and you just got to stick with the champ again. I think we're going to hear both and still on Saturday night on these matchups. Adesanya is just leaps and bounds above anybody in the middleweight division right now.
Gotcha. So it may not be much of a matchup, is what you're saying, for this weekend for them.
So I think probably the Volk and Holloway fight, that'll probably go 5 rounds, and I think Volk probably wins by a decision, or it'll go 4. I wouldn't be surprised if Adesanya beats Cannonier in the 3rd or 4th round. I don't, and it could be. I don't see that going to the decision. I do think that Adesanya is going to be looking for a knockout. I think he gets up for new guys and new blood, and that's when he puts on his best performances. So it's when he has somebody new to face, and he's never faced Jared Cannonier. This is a guy that he's been wanting to face. So I think I could see Adesanya winning here in the 3rd round on Saturday night.
Interesting. Yeah. Maybe something worth tuning into if I go to a bar or something like that. So I'll have to see. I'll have to keep an eye on that, see how that goes.
Yeah, it's a good fight card. It took a little hit this morning. It looks like the Miesha Tate and fight is off. Her opponent, Lauren Murphy, has got COVID, but Sugar Sean O'Malley's on this card. He's a big name for the UFC. He's an up-and-comer bantamweight, just ranked number 14, fighting his toughest guy, Pedro Munoz, who's going to be a tough fight. But O'Malley's a guy that he knocks people out at bantamweight at 135, just puts out a lot of power and a lot of output. He's a guy that's can knock people out. You got 2 old heads on this card as well, and Jim Miller and Cowboy Cerrone. For all the casual fans, Cowboy Cerrone's a guy, 2 guys that have been around a long time. You have a number 1 contender fight in the middleweight in Alex Pereira and Sean Strickland. So this card is going to be pretty good from the prelims on. The prelims are going to be on ABC, so you can catch the prelims on ABC. That's the first time that's ever happened, and then we'll have the main card on pay-per-view.
Oh, okay. ABC is the prelims. Okay.
Yep.
I don't remember seeing that. So, all right. That is new. Awesome. All right. Anything else for UFC?
No, that's it, man. Like I said, we'll talk pre and post show on my show on the Bodkins channel this Saturday and Sunday, and then next Monday we'll kind of hit down what happened and kind of give the results of what happened this Saturday on next week.
Gotcha. And there's something else I saw. BR Gridiron posted that two NFL vets are talking to do fights on July 30th at Crypto.com Arena in LA. Per TMZ Sports, Adrian Peterson in talks to fight Le'Veon Bell.
Hey, if I'm Lev Bell, I saw what AP did to his kid. I'm running. I'm running.
Why would you do that? Why would you try to go against AP? All right, this guy's a monster. All right, I'm not touching him. I'm not even trying. But Le'Veon, he's all talk, baby. All talk.
Always has been. Yeah. I've heard Lev Bell's been in the gym, but I'll take the brute strength of Adrian Peterson and him being able to knock somebody out. I just think that's what's going to happen. Some of these fights are funny like that, but I like Adrian Peterson. I wouldn't mess with him.
Yeah.
No switch.
Yeah, I'm going AP. Might as well make it WWE style. Let's go. They got the chair. Oh, man. Cool. Well, hey, that was a heck of a first show. We had Jim Biringer on the first half of here. Jonathan Grishman hopped on second for that baseball talk. Then we talked a little NBA draft and UFC cards on top of the Browns to the Begins show. So next week, guys, we will work to get Charles on for NBA free agency. We'll work to get Wojo on for some Browns. So continue on, see exactly what happens this week. Maybe Sean, maybe get some kind of decision or something related, a little bit more info. And then possibly Jim on if we can squeeze it in. A little hockey pre-draft. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So, but hey, tune in, guys. Next Monday is July 4th. So most likely we won't be around this time. We'll probably be doing a little show just a little earlier, probably somewhere in the afternoon. But if you hit that bell below, you're going to notify you when we go live. If you follow us follow the Sports Buffoon on Twitter, follow the Bodkins Show on Twitter. You'll also see us. We'll tweet it out, of course, when it's time to go live. And make sure you guys go follow Let's Talk Sports always. So we'll be there back at 11 on 11 p.m. or 11 a.m. Central on Saturday at Let's Talk Sports. And catch the Buffoons here. We'll be Wednesday night, of course, 8 p.m. Central. So anything else, Nick?
No, it's been a pleasure. Kyrie did opt in today. I mean, that was a story that we kept going back and forth on. So,
he did?
Yeah, did opt in. He did opt in, said he's going to stick with Brooklyn, at least for today. That's what he's saying today. Tomorrow might be a different story because it was looking like earlier today that Kyrie was going to get traded. The Lakers were the only team interested in a sign and trade deal, but they didn't have enough cap space for him. So maybe he said, I'll just stay here in Brooklyn for today. And who knows? That's a developing person and a developing team. So,
hey, we'll find out Monday. We'll find out Monday and see exactly what's going down. So,
yeah, he could be traded and rumored to 3 different teams by the time we meet.
But by the time we go live again, who knows? So, awesome. Well, hey, everybody, thanks for watching, guys. We do appreciate it. Carlos, Dina, appreciate the subs on Twitch. And making sure you guys subscribe below as well. We'll catch you next Monday. We'll tweet out the time, Facebook the time. You know the deal. So thank you, everybody, for watching. Have a great night.
See you guys.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Buffoons and Bodkins Show. Make sure you hit that bell, subscribe, and follow for more content. Swing over to the Bodkins Show, subscribe and follow for him. And then also swing over to Let's Talk Sports Network. And go subscribe to him because it's phenomenal for what he does, and there's a lot more to come on that channel between us as well. So make sure you guys do that. Thank you for watching.